We have a quorum. We'll call the meeting to order here. Well, there will be a closed session. The only thing in the closed session that will be discussed will be an update on the union negotiations. There will be no discussion of personnel items because that was put on the agenda. The wording isn't correct, so we can't do that this time. Note will be made that the members present are Jerry Nielsen, Ken Crandall, myself, and Richard Rydell by phone. If you'll all stand, we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to the public comment period, I have some comments to make about comments that were made during the last public comment period. There were some allegations of rumors, and I want to dispel those right now. One of the rumors said that Steve Boline was going to replace Linda Wagner as CEO. That is simply not true. Another rumor said that Steve Boline allowed time card changes. To the best of my knowledge, and I checked this out, I could not verify that, nor could I find anybody that would be willing to discuss that with me. The next thing was that Steve Boline was guilty of harassing Seneca employees. From day one that I've been on this board, I've had an open door policy, and anyone is welcome to come to my office and discuss any problem. This board and myself will not tolerate harassment. That could be grounds for discipline or termination. I know of no employees being harassed, and if anybody knows of employees being harassed, let me know, because we have had lawsuits settled in the past based upon harassment. The next thing, and I have to admit I'm quite annoyed by this, participation in the so-called independent investigation, it was an independent investigation, not so-called, was based on approval by Dr. Walls. This was confirmed when I applied to testify, but I obtained resistance to my testimony. You cannot confirm something that is a lie. Now, I contacted the attorney's office, and I want to read the letter I got back, and I have copies of this for everybody in this room. Dr. Walls, here is a statement you are welcome to use at the next board meeting. No officer or employee of Seneca Healthcare District controlled nor vetted who I reached out to for an interview request. I received suggestions for fact witnesses from a variety of sources. I ultimately decided who to reach out to based upon my own analysis. In order to reduce the risk of potential retaliation, I did not copy any officer or employee of Seneca on any of my communications with witnesses and have not shared my witness list nor attributed any statements to any witness. Signed by Kelsey Campbell. Would you be so kind as to take this and give it to the public and they can take copies? Now with that, I'll open the agenda to public comment. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I was pleased to hear what you have to say. I also wonder when we will hear what the result of the investigation was.
The results of the investigation are confidential. They are protected by attorney-client privilege, and there are issues in there that the board has to deal with that cause us to not be able to release it to the public as yet. And you'll just have to trust me on that one. I believe in being transparent, and as soon as we can deal with some of the things in that report, then I think we'll let the public know. Other comments?
Just
Go
a
ahead.
question, I'd like to know when we're going to get the statement that you promised at the special board meeting.
As soon as we come out of the closed agenda today.
No, you said you made a decision at the special
We did.
board meeting.
I also said that it was not a reportable action. And I said, I know what I said. I said that I would make a comment, but I since have been told that according to the Brown Act, I'm not allowed to report an action by the board except at a board meeting. That's what I was told. If you know otherwise, I'm sorry, but I didn't try to deceive, and I thought, well, it's only 5 days till the next meeting, so I will make my report at the next meeting.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, you said there was no reportable action, so was there no action taken?
No, there's action, but it's not
Then
reportable action.
by the Brown Act, you are required to report that immediately upon opening.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
No, I just talked to 2 attorneys and a judge, and that's what I was informed of.
Are they here?
No, they are not. I just checked to make sure that I wasn't stating something wrong.
Well, we have an attorney who specializes in public law present at the meeting by phone, and he told me to report no reportable action.
Okay.
Now, I will announce today when we come out of closed session, only because that's the time we normally do it. However, we will not be discussing that action in the closed session. And I'll be glad to meet with you outside the meeting to discuss the Brown Act if that's what you want, because I admit I don't know it, and I was going by what the attorney told me that we could say. Is that correct? That's what the attorney told
Well, and
us.
that's why I checked, because I don't know it that well. And as you know, I worked at court for many years, and I have a lot of good friends and judges that I thought I could rely upon. And that's what I was told.
Yeah, I think if you ask 5 people about the Brown Act, you'll get 5 opinions.
That's very possible.
The distinction here seems to be the term reportable, and what constitutes reportable and what may not constitute reportable. The action or the discussion was not reportable per our attorney.
And I think when are you going to stick around for after the closed session,
Oh,
Rick?
absolutely.
Okay, I think you'll understand why when I explain it. Further comments? Okay. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? If so, I would like an approval of the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Jerry? Ken?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Rich, we have another, can you hear me, Rich?
Yes, I can. I can't approve the October minute because I was not there.
Here's the problem we have. Joanne didn't know whether or not you were going to be available by phone, and now that's not listed on the agenda, and we're not sure whether or not you're allowed to vote. Greg, do you know? Do you happen to know, Greg?
No, I don't.
He can't.
All I know is I can't vote.
Yeah.
There was one time where you had to call.
Well, it passed anyway. We have a quorum and it passed, so that's something we'll just have to check on in the future. Medical staff report, is Dr. Ware's not here?
She's still seeing patients.
Oh, well then we'll skip over that. Policies approved at the Policies and Procedures Committee. Dr. Weir doesn't have to be available for that because she doesn't attend that committee. Karen, do you have anything to report on those? Any questions from the board members?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find that one thing.
That's on page 3 of 5.
Oh, I got you. Thank you.
It's the approved at the Policy and Procedure Committee.
Yeah.
Got it? There's the bottom of 3 of 5.
So we can approve those if there's a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the policies approved by next time.
No, second.
All in favor? Jerry?
Aye.
Ken?
Right?
And myself, I vote aye. You don't want to have an opinion, Rich?
Well, if you're not allowing me to vote, Does it matter?
I'm not, it's not that I don't allow you, I'm not sure.
Excuse me, I notified the office that I was gonna be in Colorado in November and back home in December. I thought I made that clear a number of times.
Joanne?
I wasn't aware of that. You may have let Linda know. That could be.
We had to change the closed session agenda because initially it wasn't listed as me being in Colorado.
Correct.
And then it was changed.
Correct. For that meeting, yes. So, but I wasn't aware of this one, so we'll work on that going forward so this doesn't happen again.
Steve, do you want to give a financial report?
Or do we want to approve the other policies though? The policy and procedure committee policies?
We just did. The
The
Policy and Procedures Committee?
I think my motion said med staff.
We did.
I did.
Oh, no, we can't approve the med staff. Dr. Ware isn't here.
No, my motion said we were approving the policies from the med staff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't say the policy procedure.
I misunderstood you.
I apologize for that. I assumed we were doing them separately. And Steve, I wanted to mention the ones that you put together. I really like the flow of them, the way they're worded. And I did have one quick comment though, on the request for reimbursement. I
Oh,
can't
the
find
policies,
it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, sorry, the policies, yeah. The request for reimbursement, the form for it, I think it had a line for the employee signature and a manager signature or something, but I think the policy said there were 2 signatures required, or 2 people had to approve it for the employee.
There typically,
But I just read that.
typically there's a finance sign off as well.
Yeah, I saw the finance sign off. When I was reading the policy though, I was under the impression it was the direct manager and then the department head would need to approve it, so I was just not sure whether the form needed another signature line or if I misunderstood.
Okay.
And I don't know where that is. Oh wait, here it is. Let's see. So, right now I'm looking on page 6 of it, under E. I think there's several places where it shows up, but it just says, the authorized traveler may begin making travel arrangements only after they've obtained approval from their supervisor and senior leader. And then the form only has 1 signature line, so I wasn't sure if they needed both or not.
Back to page 6 now, or I'm at page 6 now. So can you read that again?
I'm looking under EI1. The authorized traveler may begin making arrangements after approval from supervisor and senior leader. And then I'm looking for the form now.
What page is that?
On page 6,
6 of 11.
Yeah. And then on page 11 is the form, and I see employee signature, department head approval, and fiscal office approval. I thought maybe their supervisor needed to be added on there.
Okay.
I mean, tell me if we don't need that on there. That's just how I read the policy.
Is this a new form, Steve?
We've taken an existing form and this is the policy is to create a form to allow for pre-approval of travel, which we haven't had previously.
I think that's a good idea.
I think. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll revise the form so it jives or whatever with the policy.
Just add that extra signature line.
Signature or just replace for fiscal officer. Supervisor, and then we need to see who it is, so. Okay. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Now, back to the approval of the policies. Do we want to approve the policies and Procedures Committee policies,
Yes,
okay?
Probably with,
with the amendment, yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve the policies from the Policy and Procedures Committee, subject to the revision we discussed for Finance 013.001.
Is there a second?
technically,
Okay, in favor? Ken? And I vote aye. Rich, do you want to have any opinion?
No, nothing. No, it's not waste time, thanks.
Okay, Steve, do you want to give the financial report?
Yeah. So we're heading to tab C. And we did hold a treasurer's meeting, yesterday. And really the discussion on finances around the decreased utilization of the hospital, which in turn has led to losses. We budgeted for loss, but our losses are somewhat and well in excess of our budgeted amount. We had a budget loss of $160,000 versus an actual loss of $257,000. The way we do the budget, since we're seasonal here and we have fluctuations, we try and look at historical patterns in utilization of the hospital, and we use that as the basis for allocating our revenue and expenses as we can throughout the year. October of 2018 was actually a pretty strong month for us. So I think a little bit of this is that we may have budgeted a little more revenue because October 2018 was a little bit of a higher month. So that doesn't take away from the fact that our utilization is down. And it's down across the board, if you will. In October, we saw probably one of the lowest emergency department utilizations that we've had in a long time. We had 163 visits. So when we have lower utilization in the emergency room, that's indicative of healthcare demand in our community. We see some decrease in our primary care through the clinics. There's somewhat of a discretional access there by the patient, consumer, if you will. And so we would look and say, well, what are we doing wrong, or what do we need to do differently? But when we see that the emergency department is down, then our only presumption we have is that there really is a lower demand for health care, and in turn less revenue. The other thing is that our emergency department visits drive not just anyone that's gone to emergency department. You get billed for a lot of things, because when you're in an emergency department, the reason you're there is because you feel you have an acute or critical healthcare need, and so a lot of diagnostic stuff is done to determine your condition, or if you've had an injury, to determine the extent of your injury through x-rays or whatever it may be. And so when we don't have emergency room visits, it really brings our revenue down in a big way. Likewise, it pushes our revenue up when we have high emergency department utilization, which we've seen in earlier months of pretty much calendar 2019. So it's kind of a double whammy, if you will, when the emergency departments. The thing that makes us not completely question what we're doing is that our clinic visits went up, so as opposed to the previous month. So it's not like they're not coming here at all. We did see an increase in, as we call it, the discretionary utilization of Seneca, or the non-emergent. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Steve?
Yes.
How much of that do you think may have been due to, our lab had to have been down for a while while we were revamping it, correct?
Well, Karen can speak to how we attempted to keep it running, but
So not very much from that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Is there, and not to make this more complicated, but, you know, I like how under the inpatient revenue, we have it broken out, but now when we're talking outpatient, is there a way to break that out a little bit further so that we can more carefully, like, see kind of where exactly we're being hit the most?
yeah, and really it was across the board, but the big hit was the emergency department.
Okay.
You go to 163 visits.
Yeah.
It goes down, and then again, the ancillary services, the lab, the radiology that support an emergency department also come down as well. So everybody was kind of across the board. Physical therapy is appears to be about the only service here that's immune from any kind of market fluctuations. Steve's pretty much full up all the time. So,
Do we have a sense for, I mean, were there just not as many people getting injured in the month, which is a good thing, you know, but, I mean, was that what's going on, do we think? Or, I mean, were calls being sent elsewhere rather than coming here? I mean, do we know?
I think part of it's care coordination, Steve, because we're scheduling those appointments, we're going through the ER log, we're trying to prevent.
So we're shifting over from the
Yeah, so
ER
I
to
think it's
clinic.
shifting,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll continue to shift towards the clinic, because we're trying to catch the readmits in the ER or on the floor at the time, so we're really trying to schedule them over here.
Okay,
So I think that might be part of it.
that makes sense.
I think the only thing that gets our attention is this is the third month that we've seen lower than budgeted revenue. So pretty much we're starting to look at a trend here. And so we're going to have to
Dive into that further.
determine exactly. I've looked at, I guess I should say the third month, because I've looked at November now. And November is fairly similar. It's trending in a very similar manner to October.
Is there a way for us to capture numbers so that we can see whether that's really what's happening, Casey?
We can try on our side to capture when they come to the ER versus how quickly they follow up.
That might help.
I'm wondering, I'm assuming that the summer is our highest utilization for the emergency department, correct?
Yep.
And when we move into the off-tourist season, active season, warm weather season, out of all the months between, I guess, October and May, when do we have the most utilization in the emergency department?
It's usually around January, February is when, because even though we don't have the population here, the population base, it's when influenza and other things go around, and typically in small rural hospitals, they have slow summers and they don't have a tourist business or tourist industry. It's their winter months is when they have their high utilization of the facility. That's typically.
I had Royce print out a month-by-month average emergency room visits, and for the past year. And the lowest months we had only 5 patients per day average. And the busiest month of the year, we averaged 13, I think it was between 11 to 13 per day.
What
in the
month was
emergency.
that?
It was in the summer. I don't remember if it was July or August. But it actually got down to it was 5.5 patients per day in the winter. And the average daily census and inpatient is less than 1. So that's really low utilization. We discussed that at the finance committee.
And that's a hard one. That's a hard one to control, other than being extremely vigilant about what cases we send away, what cases we transfer. And I think we're very good about that. That we may not agree, but we're at least aware of it. So I don't think there's anything of significance in the way of avoidable transfers that employees is that with the swing utilization, that was kind of something that we had looked to use as an offset to our low acute census. We did have some success, if you will, or some ability to drive utilization there, but again, it's the ability to get the right individual in here, the right placement that we can handle. We do have a limited ability to handle swing skill type patients. So we've seen a decrease in November.
Dr. Walls, can I make this interjection?
Yes, sure.
And this obviously is not meant to say this may be why, but we just had a personal experience 2 weeks ago on Friday night at 8 o'clock. I brought my wife into emergency. And after almost 2 hours of sitting in the waiting room, I went in to see if everything was okay, and was just in time to hear the doctor say, well, I don't know what's wrong. Good luck. And he left. And we took her out in a wheel. She couldn't walk when she came in. She couldn't walk when she went out. He did offer her painkillers, but had no idea. Did x-rays, did blood work, and she was in tears, and I asked, is it hurting that bad? She said, no. He just derided me the whole time he was in here.
Yeah. Did you happen to write up a complaint?
I did not, and I told her, you got it, because of where I don't want people to look at, just because it happened to us differently, like I'm gonna write something up in the paper. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
She said she would take care of it.
Oh, okay. Well, she was the patient.
Well, and the thing was, she made a call over. We were given a number. She made a call over. She's got no response. So, I don't know if she's followed up on that or not. We're kind of like two ships passing in the night when she gets home at 7 o'clock. Goes to bed at 8.
Well, I hear a fair share of complaints. I won't deny that. And what I tell patients is, they don't have to make a complaint. It doesn't have to be bad. It can just make a comment. This happened to me. But if it's in writing, it's a lot easier for us to deal with.
Well, and the only reason, because I think once this been way back, I made the statement that, we don't think the hospital is a bad place because of an individual. That's just not the way it works in the real world.
Yeah.
People are responsible for their own actions, and they are responsible for what they do. Now, it may reflect, because, if there's, call it lack of oversight or whatever, but I just, and I don't think that you have a doctor that's burying your emergency room, but there may be a perception out there that's not helping along that line.
I don't think it's maybe.
Okay.
I think there are a lot of problems, but the fact that utilization is so poor, it really should be concerning to the public, and it certainly is to this board, and we intend to do something about it. Are you finished, Steve?
Other than to say that the finance team meets with the nursing utilization care coordination team every morning. We talk about the cases we've had. We talk about the patients that are on the floor. We talk about all of these issues that affect the utilization of care at Seneca. We also talk about care issues, and we absolutely talk about patient complaints, and we absolutely take patient complaints extremely seriously. And not to reference this case specifically, but we compensate our providers extremely well. And if we're not getting a value service from that, that's something we would really like to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we move on to capital requests?
There are no capital requests at this meeting.
I thought, Joanne, you were going to put something together,
No, there was nothing for this meeting.
but weren't you going to work on a software program that...
Well, that was to go to MedStack, I thought first.
Oh, you're going to take the meds, okay.
Yeah, so that's not ready yet.
Okay. Then, the next issue is the discussion and vote on board replacement applications.
Dr. Mills, can I make a motion to accept the financial?
Oh, yeah, you want to be a stickler for that. Go ahead and make the motion.
I just did.
You want to second
I'll
that?
second.
In favor? Jerry?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, now the board replacement applications, technically, we don't have to, we still are within the 60 days by next month. And if Rich can't vote, I'm not sure that I want to do this. How do the other board members feel?
I agree, Dr. Wells, I was thinking the same thing.
I agree
Ken?
as well. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess we'll put this off until the next meeting then, because I would like all the board members to be able to vote. Is there any comment on that? HRG?
Sorry, just real quick. So, Dr. Wells, I'm just going back to the credentials. We're just gonna wait until Dr. Ware comes in there to do that?
I'm hoping she gets here before the meeting's over.
Okay, do we
Yeah.
have to have her here in order to do that?
Well, technically, I guess we don't have to,
I just wanna make sure we didn't.
but if
miss
somebody
it.
has any questions, she's not gonna be here to answer them.
I can go check.
What's that?
I can go check what she's doing tonight. Do you want me to see where she is?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
I just wanna make sure we didn't, skip it.
I haven't forgotten about it. If she shows up, we'll go back and do it. Steve, you want to give an HRG report?
Tabby. So, HRG continues to be a battle for us. We are holding the line, if you will. The AR days crept up a half a day in the month of October. They're at 56.9. This is just outside of our target range of best practices of 45 to 55. So again, we don't want to say that there's poor performance here. There's a performance that isn't meeting our expectations, and what we know it can. We just continue to work with them on a regular basis. The number one issue with them is the turnover of their staff. And I don't know that there's an answer to that, because pursuant to direction from the board, we looked at alternatives, and we spoke to one company that we thought could meet our needs for a variety of reasons. We met with them a couple times, received proposal from them, got references, and when we called their references, we found out that they have no clients that have a nursing home in California, which is a really significant issue. If the nursing home building is done wrong, it creates immense problems. It creates issues for the residents. They may end up underpaying or overpaying their share of costs, and that's a big issue for them. And it takes us time to resolve that matter. They said their response to that is that we would hire someone to do that for you. They use, I think, all of these outsourced companies. HRG does it to some extent. They use contract employees that are not at their corporate offices, and so they would engage someone to do that. So if they were able to do it, then we would have one person that did it. If that person chose to not continue doing it or something prohibited it, then they have no depth of resource. So we talked to some of their other references who are doing best practices, because the one hospital in California that they gave us as a reference, their AR days were at 63, which are higher than ours. So 63 is still not bad, but You know, if we're gonna go to someone, we don't wanna go to someone that's 7 days or even 10 days above where we've been or more. So, we talked at the treasurer's meeting, and what we plan to do is we plan to go into negotiations with HRG for another 1-year extension on their contract and put in stronger language about penalties for not meeting expectations or goals. And I think that now that we've worked through this with them, we can come up with a means to where we can make sure that Seneca meets their part of it, because currently the way their contract reads is if Seneca doesn't hit a target, then they're not held to their part of it. But we know what the Seneca target can be, and we know what we can do, so we'll get that in there, and we'll put larger penalties, and we'll continue to look at other options for supporting our revenue cycle.
So Steve, their turnover issue, do you have any idea what that's attributed to? I mean, I'm wondering whether we can use like a carrot stick approach, and maybe if they, perform such a way, then they get additional revenue and that goes to whoever's working the account or something like that. I don't know if that's possible, but
We certainly build incentives into their contract as well, that's fine. But as far as, I don't know if their training is an issue, or just that the labor pool is such that they have to find people that they need to train, and when you have to train someone, it's a hit and miss proposition.
I'm just thinking if they can get someone trained that can do what we need and we can incentivize them to stay, then maybe we could help.
Yeah, I think they're leaving not by their choice, so.
Oh, okay, well, that's unfortunate.
Maybe some of them have, we've had some folks, some reps that we've worked with that do a good job that have left, but that's certainly the minority to the ones that left that were not doing the job, so.
Okay, anything else on HRD? Okay, Dr. Ware is here now.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a medical staff report?
Sorry to have to be dragged in. The first thing is the 2-year re-credentials, the doctors below. Do you want to vote on these together? And then we have a 60-day delay on the bottom, several because of incomplete applications.
I know I go to the Met staff meetings, but is Lynn Chilson, is he still
Yeah.
on staff here?
Apparently he requests to continue medical steps.
Huh.
So I'm sorry, Dr. Ware, what does it mean, files to be extended? I don't know.
I just said that.
I know, but I don't understand what it means.
It means that their applications are not complete.
And by your bylaws, they have to be complete within 30 days unless we extend it?
No,
Okay.
I don't think that's determined. Do you remember, Joanne? It's usually grant a 30-day extension, and there's still some of those that are not complete.
Yeah, that's my understanding, in the bylaws, it's 30 days, while we can override it.
Okay, that makes sense.
This was, so that's what we.
So we want to approve these and then do the policies separately?
Yeah.
Well, we
Well,
already
we
approved the
the
policy.
policies.
We already did the policy, so I'll move to approve these.
Okay,
I'll
second,
I'll second.
in favor, Jerry?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Any,
The policies are below, and most of these were new, were they not, Joanne? We went through this at the medical staff meeting.
I believe they were new, yeah.
Yeah.
We actually went ahead and approved those.
Pardon
We
me?
went ahead and approved those, actually.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, so I don't have to go through that. Okay, thank you.
okay. Now we'll go back to the item 10, governance education. There is nothing. Committees, bylaws committee, what's the progress there? What are we gonna do?
Do you want to read them?
Do I want to read them?
I'm just teasing. I guess I just had a few other updates I had to make to it before I sent them out.
But weren't we waiting for some legal issue? Wasn't there something the attorney had to give you some advice or something?
There was some feedback that they sent back that I'm still trying to wade through.
Okay, okay.
Is why they're not completely touched up. And then my question would be, you know, we get them sent out, but do we want to actually finalize them before our new board member gets familiar with the board, or do we?
No, I just wanted an update of where we're at on them, that's all. They're not
That was part of the
finished yet,
discussion
right?
last time, though, was that we would wait until we had seated a new board member.
Okay,
We were thinking that's what we were gonna do, just so they have a chance to provide any feedback as well.
okay. And there's no report on the strategic planning committee, Steve, is there? Okay. And there's no CEO report today. Department issues, is Casey still here? Did she have a report? No, it says no report. Sadie's not here.
She did have that compliance.
I appreciated this too, yeah. I found it very helpful.
Compliance meeting.
Any questions on that? Karen, anything, no report on the cube? And the only other report, Jim, you have a written report. Does anybody have any questions on that report? Doesn't change much, month to month.
Generally goes, you know, only things that change are whether they want per diem or part-time or full-time for the most part.
And we didn't, this month we didn't do the other, with who came and left. The other report with who.
There were none, right?
Well, good.
Yeah, well.
No,
yeah.
well, partly good, half good.
The left part is good, coming in is not good.
Okay, and there's nothing for the consent agenda. So agenda items to be added next week, Joanne, will include the election of officers. The audit, Steve, is the audit's going to be in next month?
Yes.
And then Casey has requested the dashboard, and we will have election of officers. And everyone will be here next month. Rich will be here in December.
We're gonna table the bylaws until January.
Until we have a full board, 5. Okay. Then we will go to the closed session, and I don't think it's going to take very long. It's just going to be an update on the union negotiations, and then we'll open back up. Okay, we're back in the open session. As far as today's closed meeting, all it was an update on union negotiations, and there's nothing to report on that. Now, I want to address the issue of the last closed session and the decision that the board made, which was not unanimous, but Linda Wagner has been placed on a paid administrative leave pending further negotiations. And I know people are going to want to know why we did this, but you have to respect the fact that she's an employee and employees have rights, and we do not discuss the specifics of what happened in the closed session in a public session unless we have authorization from the employee. Now, I was not aware that Linda was not going to be at the last board meeting. And so after the board made a decision that she would be on leave, I did not want her to hear about it from innuendo in the community. And so I did not want to make that announcement at that time. I wanted to speak to her personally. And that's why I made that decision, Greg. And I hope everybody understands that. I thought that the decent thing to do was for me to talk to her personally, which is what I did the next day. Then I was going to make the announcement, and I was informed that I cannot just make the announcement outside of a board meeting. So I figured the next board meeting was only 4 more days from that Friday, which is today, and I thought I would make the announcement today. That's how that all came down. I wasn't trying to hide anything. I wasn't trying to be dishonest. I was just trying to be respectful of an employee. So the decision was that she is on a paid administrative leave, and that's all I have to report. The next regular meeting will be Thursday, December the 19th at 3 o'clock, same place. We have quite a bit on the agenda, but we'll deal with it. Meeting's over.